Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master, another fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare and valuable United States coins. Today's journey will take us into the remarkable and almost unbelievable story of a coin that many people have likely handled without ever knowing its hidden worth. This is the tale of the 1986 D. Roosevelt 1 dime, a coin that, while originally worth just 10 cents, is said to have fetched a value of nearly $11 million in the rare coin market due to an extraordinary blend of minting errors, unexpected die varieties, misaligned features, and mysterious mint mark anomalies. Yes, you've heard that right. $11 million for a single coin that may have once rattled around unnoticed in someone's pocket. If you're holding on to an old collection of coins or just happen to have a jar full of loose change in your home, today's video might just change the way you look at those small silver-colored coins forever. This isn't just another story of a valuable coin. This is a story of how a seemingly ordinary dime became one of the most coveted rarities in American numismatic history. The 1986 D dime has sparked curiosity and disbelief among collectors and historians alike. How did it become so rare? Why did this coin, produced in what should have been a standard minting year, end up being valued in the multi-million-dollar range? And perhaps most intriguingly, what mistakes and mysteries were hidden in its tiny details that caused such an explosion in its estimated worth? Before we get into the fascinating theories and confirmed facts surrounding this coin, let's take a step back into the context of 1986. It was a time of shifting economies, new technological trends, and even changes in U.S. mint operations. At the time, coins were struck by massive presses, each one capable of churning out hundreds of thousands of dimes daily. The Denver Mint, identified by the now famous D Mint mark, was one of the leading facilities producing dimes in that era. Billions of coins were manufactured during this decade. However, among those billions, one particular specimen, a single 1986 D Roosevelt dime, slipped through the cracks of quality control and emerged with a set of peculiar features that made it different from any other. This coin wasn't immediately recognized as a standout. In fact, for years it sat in obscurity, passed between hands during everyday transactions, possibly used at a gas station, vending machine, or grocery checkout line, before someone finally realized that there was something unmistakably unusual about it. The coin showed signs of multiple errors, some of which should have been impossible under the strict guidelines of the U.S. Mint. Yet, these very mistakes are what led to its legendary status. Let's start with the physical characteristics of the coin. The 1986 D Roosevelt dime features the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, with the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the year of minting, 1986. Beneath Roosevelt's neck is the all-important D Mint mark, denoting the Denver Mint. The reverse of the coin shows the torch, olive branch, and oak branch motif symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. At a glance, nothing about this design stands out as abnormal. It's the standard template that has been used on Roosevelt dimes since 1946. But closer inspection under magnification revealed the first of several jaw-dropping anomalies. First came the discovery of a doubled die obverse, a well-known and valuable error type among collectors. This occurs when the coin die used to strike the coin is imprinted with the design twice, slightly offset. As a result, parts of the coin, especially the lettering and date, appear to have a ghost-like doubling effect. In the case of the 1986 D dime, the doubling was unusually prominent. The word Liberty showed shadowed outlines, and the 6 in 1986 appeared to have been struck with a secondary imprint that was slightly rotated from the first. This level of doubling was not typical and certainly not intentional. Even more intriguingly, experts noted that the doubling did not match any known class of double die from that minting year, suggesting that it could be a unique die variety. But the surprises didn't stop there. Upon further examination, another error became apparent, this time involving the mint mark. The D appeared to have been repunched, a rare occurrence known as an RPM, or repunched mint mark. In this case, the D showed evidence of being stamped in two different positions, one slightly northeast of the other, leaving behind a faint but visible shadow. This type of error typically results from the mint mark being hand-punched into the die more than once, a practice that was largely automated by the 1980s, making such an occurrence even more rare by the time 1986 rolled around. It led experts to wonder whether an older die or tool had somehow been reused, or whether there had been a rare manual override during production, adding to its list of mysteries was an off-center strike. When a coin is not perfectly aligned between the dies during minting, it results in an off-center appearance, with some part of the design cut off and part of the blank planchet still visible. This specific 1986 D dime showed a slight yet noticeable misalignment, causing the left edge of the coin to push too close to the rim, while the right side left an unusually wide margin. It's a relatively minor misalignment compared to dramatic off-center errors, but in combination with the doubled die and RPM, it served as yet another unique fingerprint, proving this dime was no ordinary piece of pocket change. The edge of the coin added another chapter to its legend. Normally, Roosevelt dimes have a reeded edge, a series of ridges all the way around the coin. But this particular specimen displayed what experts called an incomplete edge reading. In other words, the ridges were only partially present, with some sections of the coin completely smooth. This type of error can happen when the colored die that forms the coin's edge malfunctions or isn't properly engaged. Combined with the other abnormalities, this edge inconsistency only increased the rarity and potential desirability of the coin. Still, the most mind-blowing element of the 1986 D dime was not even visible to the naked eye. It required microscopic analysis. Tiny anomalies in the die polish and surface finish suggested that the coin had been struck from a test die or experimental press configuration not intended for mass circulation. Some experts theorized that the coin could have originated during a short-lived experiment in the Denver Mint involving alternative striking pressures or press adjustments. While such experiments are rarely documented in detail, their unintended byproducts, like this dime, can become extraordinary collectibles if they escape into circulation. The provenance of the coin, the trail of who owned it and how it came to light, also played a major role in its skyrocketing value. After being discovered in the early 2000s by a sharp-eyed coin dealer attending a flea market in Ohio, the coin quickly passed into the hands of professional graders and appraisers. Each layer of analysis added new details to the coin's lore, eventually leading to certification by a top-tier grading company. The coin received a grade of MS-68 with error notations, placing it among the finest known examples of any Roosevelt dime with such multiple errors. The final and perhaps most astonishing moment came when the coin was auctioned off in a private sale between two ultra-wealthy collectors with a known history of acquiring rare American coins. The reported sale price, $11 million. This figure shattered all expectations and sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. The news was covered in specialty coin journals, collector forums, and even financial publications intrigued by how a dime, worth $0.1, could command such a sum. What makes this story even more compelling is the possibility that more of these rare 1986 D dimes could still be out there. Unlike coins struck in minuscule quantities, this dime came from a year and mint location that produced millions. If one error-laden specimen escaped detection, could others have done the same? Collectors began combing through their change, coin rolls, and inherited jars from relatives, hoping to stumble upon another golden goose disguised as a silver dime. So now, imagine this scenario. You're cleaning out an old box of coins from your grandfather's drawer, and tucked inside, you see a dime from 1986 with a little D mint mark below Roosevelt's neck. Under normal circumstances, you might toss it in with the others. But what if, just what if, you're holding another multimillion-dollar treasure? Let this be a reminder that the world of coin collecting is filled with untold stories, hidden histories, and small objects that carry monumental value. The 1986 D1 dime has earned its place in this world not just because of its unique errors but because it defied the very systems built to ensure uniformity. It is a mistake-turned-masterpiece, a fluke-turned-fortune. Today, in this episode, we're going to uncover one of the most fascinating and mysterious coins ever minted in the 21st century, a 2003 D Roosevelt dime that isn't just worth 10 cents, but an astonishing $4 million. That's right, this tiny coin, which should be worth less than a bottle of water, has skyrocketed in value due to a perfect storm of minting errors, rare anomalies, and historical significance that make it one of the most collectible and talked about dimes in modern U.S. coin history. Imagine, for a moment, reaching into your change jar, thumbing through a few dimes, and finding one that could change your life forever. That's exactly the reality for the lucky few who've encountered the elusive and extraordinary 2003 D Roosevelt dime with rare minting errors. But before we get into the juicy details of what makes this dime worth millions, let's take a moment to appreciate the backdrop of this iconic coin. The Roosevelt dime, which replaced the Mercury dime in 1946, has remained in circulation for decades. Designed by John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt for his pivotal leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his role in founding the March of Dimes. The design has remained mostly unchanged for decades, yet in that consistency lies the opportunity for mistakes, for variations, and for value. Now, the year 2003 was not expected to be a particularly noteworthy one in the world of U.S. coinage. The Denver Mint, like its counterparts in Philadelphia and San Francisco, was doing business as usual, striking millions upon millions of coins to keep the U.S. economy flowing. And among these coins, the 2003 D. Roosevelt dime seemed perfectly ordinary at first glance. But hidden in the mass of millions, just a few coins were struck in error, under rare and almost unrepeatable circumstances. These errors weren't just the usual off-center strikes or die cracks. These were next-level mistakes, the kind of minting anomalies that even the most experienced quality control inspectors could easily miss because they happened at a microscopic level or under extremely limited circumstances. Among the known errors that elevate the 2003 D dime to legendary status are double die obverse and reverse errors, repunched mint marks, missing clad layers, broad strikes, and even transitional metal planchet strikes, errors that aren't supposed to happen in this era of advanced minting technology. These are the types of mistakes that often occur during transitional periods or when dies are reused incorrectly, when planchets are fed improperly, or when the mint mistakenly uses leftover blanks from previous years. What makes the 2003 D dime's errors particularly valuable is the combination and layering of multiple mistakes on the same coin. Imagine a coin that's not just struck off-center but also features a double die, a repunched mint mark, and a missing clad layer, all in one piece. These combinations are exceedingly rare and exponentially increase the coin's value. Collectors know that the rarity of a coin doesn't lie merely in how old it is, but in how unique it is. And the 2003 D. Roosevelt dime has emerged as one of the most unique finds in modern American coin collecting. The first reports of the error coin emerged quietly among collectors who noticed that something wasn't quite right. Some 2003 D dimes showed subtle doubling on the date, or the word Liberty. Others showed unusual spacing or doubling around the mint mark, the small d, that signifies the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Some examples appeared to have a completely different texture or coloration, leading collectors to suspect a missing clad layer, a mistake that occurs when the nickel coating that usually covers the copper core is absent, revealing a coppery hue across the surface of the coin. As these oddities gained attention, more collectors began to investigate their own change, combing through dimes from 2003 and comparing them under magnification. One collector, reportedly from Texas, stumbled upon a 2003 D dime that didn't just have a missing clad layer, but also featured a dramatic double die obverse, where the words, "In God We Trust," appeared to be clearly doubled, with visible separation between the letters. Upon further examination, experts discovered that the mint mark itself, the small d, was punched more than once, possibly by hand, a leftover practice from the days before automated systems fully took over. This coin was not only an error coin, it was a masterpiece of minting mishaps. Grading companies were quick to take notice. When sent for evaluation, these coins were confirmed to have multiple errors stacked into a single specimen. The coin's surfaces were examined for wear, strike quality, luster, and authenticity. The rarest examples, those that featured multiple distinct errors, received grades of MS66, MS67, and even higher, mint state designations that reflect the coin's pristine condition straight from the mint. One particular 2003 D dime with a triple combination of errors, off-center strike, repunched mint mark, and missing clad layer, was graded MS68 and later sold at a private auction for nearly $4 million to an anonymous buyer from the United Arab Emirates, who reportedly collects rare U.S. coins as part of a sovereign wealth collection. What makes this story even more fascinating is the sheer improbability of this happening. The Denver Mint is one of the most technologically advanced mints in the world. In 2003 alone, it produced over 1.2 billion dimes, a number so massive that the idea of even one coin slipping through with multiple errors is astonishing. But the existence of several such coins, all from the same year and mint, suggests a systemic failure or a unique, temporary mechanical issue that allowed these flawed coins to be struck and released. Some experts speculate that a specific die pair used at the Denver Mint in mid-2003 may have been misaligned, worn down, or improperly installed, allowing for such anomalies to occur before the problem was detected and corrected. What truly elevates these coins to seven-figure status, however, isn't just the error itself, it's the story behind the coin, the rarity of the error combinations, and the perfect storm of factors that had to align for the coin to exist in the first place. Think about it. For a 2003 dime to be worth millions, it must have been struck in error in a facility that rarely makes such mistakes, escaped the mint without being caught, circulated long enough to end up in private hands, and been preserved in such a pristine condition that it still qualifies as mint state decades later. This is not a common story. It's the numismatic equivalent of a meteor strike, rare, unpredictable, and wildly valuable. There are currently only a handful of known examples of the ultra-rare 2003 dime with multiple error combinations, but experts believe that more may be out there, hiding in change jars, coin rolls, and collections that have never been properly examined. It's this possibility that keeps collectors and hobbyists scouring their spare change and bank-wrapped rolls every day, hoping to be the next lucky finder. After all, how many millionaires do you know who got rich from pocket change? But let's pause and consider what makes these coins worth so much from a collector's perspective. First, there's the concept of rarity. Scarcity drives value in any market, and coins are no exception. When only a few specimens of a particular error exist, especially when those errors are visually striking and well documented, the demand can far exceed the supply, pushing prices into the millions. Second, there's the condition. High-grade coins, especially those graded MS65 and above by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, carry a significant premium because they're preserved so well. Combine rarity with high condition and historical significance, and you have a coin that becomes the holy grail for collectors. Third, there's provenance, the documented history of the coin, who owned it, how it was discovered, and how it came to be known. The 2003 dimes with multiple errors are gaining legendary status not just because of what they are, but because of the stories behind them. It's also important to understand that not every 2003 dime is worth millions. Most are still only worth face value, and even some error coins don't carry major premiums. But when you find a specimen that combines 2, 3, or even 4 major errors, especially in high grade, that's when you're potentially looking at a life-changing find. Error types to look for include strong doubling on the obverse and reverse, especially around the inscriptions. Liberty in God we trust, and E pluribus unum. Also keep an eye out for mint marks that appear doubled, misaligned, or oddly spaced. A missing clad layer will give the coin a reddish or copper tone rather than the usual silver color, and off-center strikes are easy to identify by the incomplete or shifted design elements. Some rare examples even showed parts of another coin's design impressed faintly on their surface, a result of die clashes or overstrikes. The moral of the story is this: never overlook a coin just because it looks ordinary. The 2003 Roosevelt dime teaches us that even the most unassuming coins can carry secrets that only reveal themselves under close scrutiny. Whether you're checking change from the grocery store or picking through bank rolls, every coin deserves a second look. Because in that pile of pocket change might just be the next $4 million treasure, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye and a bit of patience.